In the book of Genesis we read that in the beginning the earth was without form and void of where there had once been a thriving civilization. It had been obliterated out of existence. Signs of earlier life would be found thousands of years later, such as batteries, aircraft, and microwaves. These artifacts indicate extreme intelligent life had once existed before ours and predated well before the flood of Noah. So much so that our own modern technologically advanced world could not even begin to explain how a civilization before ours could have been so much more advanced than our own. Religion tried to squelch inquiries, as if such truth-seeking was not of God, or even necessary. They did not have the answers about this previous civilization. And if they did not want someone else outside of their control providing them. Perhaps they were keeping the past as secrets of their own. Science could not, or would not, offer valuable explanations either. Science has never been capable of explaining the spiritual, but it is the spiritual that can define and explain science. Digging into the Bible codes, I discovered there was indeed a thriving technologically advanced civilization on Earth previously, and that because of their rebellion against the Most High, its civilization was obliterated out of existence, causing the complete destruction of the Earth. The civilization on Earth contained the ancient cities of Atlantis and Lemuria, and had intergalactic trade with other planets such as Mars, Venus, and the others within our solar system. When Lucifer rebelled against the Most High, as the reigning cherub over all these planets, he instigated a multi-planet rebellion, bringing the Lord's wrath of hailstones of fire against all the planets involved. Entire angelic civilizations were destroyed, and many of these angels involved that did not face his immediate judgment of imprisonment were forced into the hollow areas of their respective planets to survive. The Bible speaks of Lucifer's rebellion in Isaiah 14:12-14. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne, above the stars of God I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, in the sides of the north I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. In Ezekiel 28 it says, you are the anointed cherub that covers, and I had put you in the holy height of God. Lucifer was not happy just being a high-ranking cherub with rule over several planets. He wanted to be like the Most High God. And you will find the pre-Adamic, prehistoric civilization on this earth within his realm of dominion and rebellion. Most of us are led to believe that Lucifer's rebellion was a quick event, that was quickly put down by the Most High God, but it did not happen that way. The Lord said to me, you pray for my mysteries, and I am revealing them to you. So what I am going to reveal is not something I have spent an incredible time on or research, and perhaps I will later for my websites, but for now in a nutshell the Most High has revealed to me that during the early pre-Adamic civilization, also known as the prehistoric civilization, it was a time of angelic attempt to create man and animals. The evolutionists were not completely wrong. These things did exist at one time, a concept the Church refuses to even acknowledge. But where everyone has gone wrong is in who created what. Lucifer's rebellion was when he recruited 1/3 of the angels to attempt to be gods, with him as the leader, or Most High. In doing this they were trying to create perhaps themselves. The angels we know are spirits, but they are humanoid. They are human-looking, and they do have bodies. Not all of them are pure ethereal spirits. But the angels could never get it right. If you look at Neanderthal, the Cro-Magnon, and the other types of what we refer to as cavemen or ape men, they could never accomplish what the Most High would with mankind. And that is why the evolutionists cannot find a missing link. The link between the ape-looking creatures of prehistoric times and the humans we have today were not related nor created by the same hand of the Most High. They also attempted to create their own animals, and that is where we got the dinosaurs and other odd creatures we see in mythology and folklore. Atlantis and Lemuria were cities on Earth, where these angels dwelled and developed technology that far surpassed anything we have ever had or seen. And they were not confined to Earth. They could travel to distant planets and visit, trade, and cohabit with the angels who lived on them. In fact, the New World Order is nothing but this ancient planetary old world order revived for the last days. Planetary trade and economics was Lucifer's dominion, and he ruled from a distant planet called Rahab. The Bible codes reveal that Lucifer had a mansion or dwelling place on all these planets including Earth, but his home planet was Rahab, located between Mars and Jupiter, and it was completely destroyed and cast out of our solar system with its inhabitants imprisoned inside of it. Rahab is returning to Earth in these last days, and is known more commonly as Nibiru or Planet X, where those imprisoned will be released and allowed to come to Earth, to help Lucifer subdue and conquer it. When the Lord judged and destroyed Rahab, he allowed Lucifer and some of his forces to escape. Planets were all destroyed with hailstones of fire, and those who rebelled were cast into imprisonment or forced to make homes in the inside hollow cavities of their respective planets to live in. As part of their judgment, they lost their angelic looks and appearance and became ugly, grotesque-looking beings. When the Most High recreated the earth, many, perhaps thousands of years later, Lucifer and his minions watched, and they conspired to destroy the creation of man and woman that Jehovah had placed in the Garden of Eden. Since the recreation of earth and the creation of Adam and Eve, Lucifer has worked behind the scenes directly and indirectly, conspiring and working to destroy the Most High's plans. And since Lucifer's initial rebellion, the Lord has allowed it and used Lucifer for his own purposes through it all. Isa 45:7 I form the light, and create darkness. I make peace, and create evil. I the Lord do all these things. Lucifer has been, and always will be, inferior to the Most High. A created being can never be greater than the Creator. Yet he has been working for the past several thousand years for the prophesied time, when he will be allowed to come to earth and rule for 42 months. Lucifer is serving the Most High's plans to test mankind. Will mankind serve and follow the Most High, or choose to follow the lies and deceptions of Lucifer? In these last days, he will be allowed to rise on earth once again, this time as the Antichrist. He will incarnate man and come announcing he is Jesus, and receive mankind's worship, that he is God, deceiving those on the earth once again. Can our government stop it? Can a global government uniting all the world forces together stop it, or are they simply part of the plan? It was during the 20th century, when the fallen angels, known now as aliens, would discover deep caverns in North America and start to infiltrate the underground, subterranean world, under the United States. As the United States began building deep underground bases, the aliens saw how they could manipulate these for their own uses, and began to make contact with military and political officials. Our earliest records are of a treaty they made with President Roosevelt in 1933. It was William Cooper, a former Navy intelligence officer, that would blow the lid on the contact our government had with aliens and behold a pale horse. Soon after the release of his book, others would step forward with information and documents of agreements made with these aliens that our government had made with them. Information was provided by former underground base security guards, engineers, and scientists who worked in these bases. It was these bases, such as the Dulce Base in Dulce, New Mexico, and Area 51 in Nevada, that were products of the treaties signed with the aliens. For they were constructed and built to become joint alien and human underground bases, where technology could be exchanged between the aliens and humans, as agreed upon in the treaties signed with them, of which I will get into more detail of later in this book. Lucifer and his forces probably recognized America as the Great Babylon prophesied of in Revelation 17 and 18, and they set out to infiltrate it so they could overpower it and rule over it. Their stepping stone into our society was their bribes of technology. They would teach our government how to create and fly their own anti-gravity aircraft, among other things. In exchange, our government would conceal their presence here and allow them to abduct animals and humans for their own purposes. What they probably did not expect was the eventual dominance the aliens would have in our skies and under our earth. UFOs are presently everywhere, some just watching the people on Earth, some abducting people or mutilating animals. What is getting more and more obvious is that their presence can no longer be contained. After having met some of these aliens, former President Theodore Roosevelt demanded "In God We Trust" be imprinted on all the currency of the United States. In 1965, one conspiratorial reason for the assassination of President John F. Kennedy was because he wanted full government disclosure to be given to the public on aliens from other worlds visiting ours. In 1984, former President Ronald Reagan tried to muster congressional support for a Star Wars Initiative self-defense program. What is it these men knew that propelled them? What exactly scared them to come forward to attempt some kind of action against an alien presence, or even threat, to our country and world? Although much information has been uncovered about joint alien and human underground bases, space stations, and projects, beware of the disinformation that will come out as a result. In the future, as now, many will come out proclaiming the truths of aliens in our midst. However, not everything they say is true. The real purpose is to push a dark hidden agenda and to hide the real truth. Many of the lies being told today is for this specific reason. Lucifer is pushing his agenda to be accepted as God on earth in stages. One of the ways he is doing it is to have his forces pose as ascended masters and speak to humans through what is known as channeling to inform the public on the paranormal, occult, UFOs, earth changes, and to herd and brainwash the people into believing aliens from outer space are our forefathers and creators. They are creating the foundation for the biggest deception that has ever been perpetrated on mankind. They want us to believe that mankind is a creation of these aliens, and that they are our gods, and therefore there is no real God. The Bible will be wrongfully discredited, and it will be proclaimed that there are no such things as natural God-given rights. These aliens are not extraterrestrial beings from millions of miles away or other galaxies. There are some which occupy distant planets and stars, but they are mostly subterranean. They live within both Earth and parts of our solar system. They did not create us, they created the ape man and cavemen, who no longer even exist. All were destroyed in judgment. The Bible explicitly tells us that Satan is the prince and the power of the air. It tells us about demons, hell, hybrids, and the Nephilim and Anunnaki. It also tells us how Satan came back to corrupt earth after its recreation, and will eventually be worshipped as the god of this world. He will once again attempt to cause the entire earth to rebel against the Most High God, and use his puppet associate the Bible refers to as the false prophet, to demand the world worship him as God. The armies of aliens coming will claim they are our forefathers and creators, as per the plural term Elohim is translated in the KJV, and they will serve as the armies of Satan, to help him subdue, conquer, and control the earth. The fallen angels, after seeing what the Lord created in Adam and Eve, never stopped trying to mimic that creation. However, they could never succeed either. We read in the book of Enoch, and I will get to that in later chapters, how a second rebellion among the Most High's angels would occur, and they would come to earth to physically cohabitate and reproduce with humans. This would replace their own bioengineering attempts at creation, and they would physically be able to produce children with human women. When the Lord eventually destroyed that rebellious attempt with a flood, and drowned them all, he then made it physically impossible for them to procreate with humans. This did not stop them, however, as they would turn to test tube creations, cloning, and soul scalping. And that is where we are today with their attempts to create their own human or master race, to outdo Yahweh's creation, and be capable of producing and creating their own. And that is what they are doing in underground bases all over the world today, and even in our space stations that have been well concealed from the public, while millions of Lucifer's forces have continued with building their own master race plans. Lucifer has been involved with the political and economic systems of the world, and has created secret societies to work together to bring him into power through a one-world government. What they call the New World Order